Everyone thinks trading more hours means making more money, but that lie is exactly why most traders stay stuck. I spent 12 hours a day staring at charts, forcing trades, my mind, and watching my account slowly bleed. Then I did the unthinkable. I cut my trading down to just one ruthless, focused hour. No noise, no chasing, no revenge trades. And that's when everything flipped. Fewer trades, fewer mistakes, more control, and better results. This isn't about being lazy, it's about being lethal with your time. If you've ever felt exhausted, confused, or emotionally drained by trading, this 1-hour rule might be the edge you've been missing. The diagnosis: why your hard work is killing your account. Most traders are trapped in a toxic relationship with their screens, and they don't even realize it. You've been conditioned by society to believe that sweat and hours correlate directly with success. In a factory, if you work 12 hours instead of 8, you produce more. In an office, if you stay late, you get the promotion. But trading is a perverse game where the traditional rules of labor do not apply. In fact, they are often inverted. The moment you sit down at your desk with the mindset of a grinder, you have already lost. You are approaching a high-stakes psychological battlefield with the tools of a manual laborer. This is the mirror face of our 7-day shift, where you must look at your current reality without the filters of ego or hope. Look at your desk right now. The empty coffee cups, the multiple monitors, open tabs of news sites, and the red, burning sensation in your eyes. You call this paying your dues. I call it a slow motion car crash. Less is more. Strategy starts by diagnosing the primary infection: decision fatigue. Every single candle flicker on a 1-minute chart is a piece of data that your brain has to process. Every red or green movement triggers a micro response in your nervous system. You might think you are just watching, but your brain is actually performing thousands of subconscious calculations every minute. This drains your cognitive capital, finite amount of mental energy you have for making high-quality decisions. By the time you reach hour 4 or 5 of staring at the charts, your prefrontal cortex, part of the brain responsible for logic, risk assessment, and long-term planning, is effectively offline. You are now operating entirely from your limbic system, primitive, emotional part of the brain designed for fight or flight. This is why you find yourself taking revenge trades at 100 p.m. that make no sense when you look at them the next morning. You weren't trading, you were reacting to a biological depletion. You were drunk on screen time. The market is not a fountain of opportunity that flows more the longer you stand under it. It is a predatory environment that waits for you to get tired. When you are tired, sloppy. When you are sloppy, you become food for the institutional algorithms that never get fatigued. The grinder thinks that by seeing more candles, they are gaining an edge. In reality, they are just increasing the noise and decreasing their signal. Become addicted to the flicker. You are chasing the dopamine hit of being in a trade, rather than the surgical precision of being a professional operator. Professionalism in this game is not measured by how many hours you clock in, measured by the quality of the few decisions you actually make. If you can't make a profit in the first 60 to 90 minutes of your session, when your brain is at its peak performance, what makes you think you will find it in hour 10 when you are mentally exhausted and emotionally compromised? Is the hard truth your 12-hour days are a mask for your lack of a plan. You stay at the screen because you are afraid that if you walk away, big move will happen without you. This FOMO is a sign of a gambler, not a businessman. An operator knows exactly what their setup looks like, knows exactly when it is likely to occur, and has the supreme confidence to walk away when the conditions aren't met. By staying glued to the screen, you are telling the universe that you don't trust your system and you don't trust yourself. You are trying to force the market to pay you for your time, but the market doesn't care about your rent, your debt, or your effort. It only cares about liquidity, and your exhausted mind is the easiest liquidity it can find. First part of our journey is about breaking the idol of hard work. You must accept that your best trading self is a version that is fresh, detached, and fast. You must realize that every extra minute you spend staring at a chart after your peak window has passed is actually costing you money. It is better to miss 1,000 moves with a clear head than to capture one move with a broken spirit. We are moving away from the identity of the struggling grinder and toward the elite operator. An operator is a ghost. They come in when the probability is highest, they execute with zero emotion, and they vanish back into their real life. They don't let trading become their life. They let trading fund their life. If you are still sitting there, thinking that maybe just one more hour of charting will fix your losing streak. You are still infected. You must be willing to let go of the search for the perfect trade and start the practice, perfect discipline. This starts with the 1 hour limit. Sounds terrifying because it forces you to face the reality that you can't control the market. You can only control your presence within it. In that terror lies your freedom. Once you stop being a slave to the flicker loses its power over you. You begin to see the charts for what they really are. Data, not a judge of your worth. Reclaim your eyes. Reclaim your time. Reclaim your mind. We are just getting started. The biological betrayal, science of the amygdala hijack to fix the trader. We must first fix the biology of the human animal. You believe you are a rational being making logical choices based on price action, but under the hood, your brain is a chaotic battlefield of ancient chemistry. When you sit in front of a chart for 12 hours, you are unknowingly triggering a survival mechanism that was never meant for the financial markets. Is the biological betrayal. At the center of this betrayal is the amygdala, your brain's emotional alarm system. Evolution designed the amygdala to keep you alive by scanning for threats, like a predator in the tall grass. In the modern world, your brain perceives a red candle hitting your stop loss exactly the same way it perceives a physical attack. It is a threat to your resources, your ego, and your survival. When you spend too much time on the screen, amygdala becomes hypersensitized. This leads to what psychologists call the amygdala hijack. This is the exact moment when your logic shuts down and your primal instincts take over. In this state, your prefrontal cortex, the CEO of your brain, is literally starved of blood and oxygen, while your emotional center is flooded with cortisol and adrenaline. Is why, after hours of staring at the screen, you feel that physical urge to click the mouse. It's not a trade setup. It's a shot of dopamine your brain is craving to soothe the stress of the hunt. You are no longer analyzing data. You are seeking a chemical hit to numb the pain of uncertainty. Biological depletion is why discipline is a myth for the exhausted trader. Discipline is a finite resource, much like a muscle. Every time you resist the urge to take a bad trade, you use up some of that muscle's strength. By hour 6, that muscle is torn and useless. You are standing in the middle of a high-speed highway with no armor, wondering why you keep getting hit. Less is more. Strategy works because it respects the biological limits of the human machine. By limiting your exposure to 60 minutes, you are ensuring that you only operate while your executive function is at its peak. You are essentially performing a surgical strike before the amygdala has the chance to realize it's in a fight. Professional trading is the art of staying in the flow state, that narrow window where challenge meets high-level skill. But the flow state has a shelf life. It is metabolically expensive for the brain to maintain. When you force yourself to stay at the desk for 12 hours, you are dragging your brain through the mud, forcing it to make complex financial decisions while it is in a state of emergency. You aren't learning the markets. You are traumatizing your nervous system. Every time you blow an account or take a revenge trade because you were too tired to walk away, you are carving deep neural pathways of failure into your mind. You are literally training your brain to associate trading with pain, panic, and loss. Breaking this cycle requires more than just a new strategy. It requires a complete surrender to your biological reality. You must accept that you are not a robot. You must accept that after 90 minutes of intense focus, you are becoming a danger to your own capital. The 1 hour limit isn't a restriction, it is a safety gear. It is the only way to ensure that the person making the decisions is the professional operator and not the panicked animal. When you walk away after your hour is up, you aren't missing moves. You are preserving your most valuable asset, your cognitive clarity. You are giving your brain the time it needs to reset its chemistry, to lower its cortisol, and to return to a state of calm observation. Remember, the market will always be there, but your mental edge is fragile. If you break your mind, no strategy in the world can save your account. Reclaim your biology, and you reclaim your edge. The law of diminishing returns. Why more time equals less profit in every other profession? The formula is simple: input equals output. If you work twice as many hours, you expect twice the result. But trading is a cruel paradox where the harder you pull, the faster you sink. This is the law of diminishing returns in its most lethal form. In the first 60 minutes of your session, your opportunity to profit ratio is at its absolute highest. Your mind is sharp, your eyes are fresh, and you are looking for reasons not to trade. You are selective, patient, and surgical. But as the clock ticks past the second and third hour, an invisible shift occurs. Value of every additional minute you spend at the screen begins to drop into negative territory. You aren't just getting tired, you are becoming desperate to justify the time you've already invested. If you've sat there for 5 hours and haven't taken a trade, your ego begins to feel threatened. You've wasted half a day. To compensate for this perceived waste, your brain begins to lower its standards. This is where ghost setups are born, seeing support levels that aren't there and breakouts that have no volume simply because your mind is trying to force a paycheck out of a dead market. You are no longer trading the chart, you are trading your own boredom. This is the trap of the retail grinder. The longer you stay, the more noise you consume. The market is only truly efficient and readable for small windows of time, usually during the open of major sessions. Outside of those windows, price action is often just random noise designed to trap latecomers and overtraders. By staying for 12 hours, you are forcing yourself to navigate through a minefield of low probability garbage just to find one okay setup. You are risking 100% of your capital for a 10% edge. The elite 1% understand that trading is a game of extreme selectivity. They treat their mental energy like a high-end fuel. They don't waste it idling in traffic, aches, setup, strike, and immediately exit the environment. They know that more time at the screen doesn't lead to more information, leads to information overload, which paralyzes the decision-making process. Think of it like a professional athlete. A sprinter doesn't stay on the track for 12 hours a day. They perform at 100% intensity for a few seconds and then spend the rest of the day recovering. Trading is a mental sprint, not a marathon of endurance. When you push past your peak window per trade, actually increases because your ability to manage that risk is decaying. You become prone to fat finger errors. You ignore your stop loss just this once, and you widen your targets out of greed to make the long day worth it. This is how a single bad hour at the end of a long day can wipe out an entire week of disciplined gains. You aren't losing to the market, you are losing to the clock. By adopting the 1-hour limit, you are making a mathematical decision to only play the game when the odds are most in your favor. You are exiting the casino before the house edge of fatigue and boredom can catch up to you. The goal is to maximize your dollar per brain cell ratio. You can make 500 in 1 hour of focused work. That is infinitely more valuable than making 500 in 12 hours of agonizing stress. The first trader is a free man, second is a prisoner of the flicker. To break the law of diminishing returns, you must value your time more than you value the market's movement. You must realize that the most profitable thing you can do most of the time is nothing. Walking away isn't missing out. It is a strategic withdrawal to protect your most precious resource, your ability to win tomorrow. The 60-minute execution, the surgical strike workflow transitioning from a 12-hour grinder to a 1-hour operator requires a complete overhaul of your daily routine. You can no longer afford to show up and see what happens. In a 60-minute window, every second is a high-value asset, and your preparation must be done before the clock starts ticking. This is the surgical strike phase. If a surgeon enters the operating room and then starts looking for their scalpel, the patient dies. If you open your charts and then start looking for a trend, dies. The 60-minute execution is divided into 3 distinct phases: the pre-session context, the hunting window, and the clean exit. First, pre-session context happens outside of your 60-minute trade window. This is where you perform your high time frame analysis. You are looking at the weekly, daily, hour charts to determine the order flow and market narrative. You aren't looking for entries, you are looking for points of interest or kill zones where price is likely to react. You do this work when the market is slow or before your chosen session opens. By the time you start your 60-minute timer, you should already know exactly where you want to buy or sell. You are not exploring the market, you are waiting for the market to walk into your trap. Once the timer starts, you enter the hunting window. This is 45 minutes of pure, undistracted observation. You are a sniper in the bushes. You aren't clicking, you are watching the candle behavior at your pre-defined levels. In this 1-hour window, you are looking for a specific fractal or price pattern that aligns with your higher time frame bias. Key to the 60-minute execution is extreme compression. Because you only have an hour, your brain naturally filters out the noise. Looking at the 50-50 setups, and you only focus on the A setups, you are looking for the moment when the liquidity is grabbed and the market structure shifts. The setup doesn't appear within these 45 minutes, you do not force it. This is the hardest part for the retail mind to grasp. A successful 60-minute session often results in 0 trades. If you don't see your edge, you don't pay the market. You are paid for your discipline, not your activity. Window, you must eliminate all external variables. No phone, no social media, no news tabs. Your eyes are locked on the price delivery. You are looking for the stop run, the fair value gap, or the order block that signals institutional presence. When the setup hits your price and gives you your entry trigger, you execute without hesitation. You've already done the math on your risk. You've already placed your stop loss and take profit levels. Once the trade is live, you do not micromanage it. You let the trade play out. Final 15 minutes of your hour are dedicated to the clean exit and the post-session review. Whether you are in a trade that is still running, or you've hit your target, or you didn't take a trade at all at the 60-minute mark, you close the laptop. This is a non-negotiable rule. Clean exit is what separates the professional from the addict. An addict always wants one more candle. The professional knows that their cognitive edge is now decaying. Your trade is still running, you set your alerts and walk away. You do not sit there watching the P&L flicker. That flicker is the path back to the panic loop. By walking away, you are training your subconscious to trust your analysis and your system. You are teaching yourself that your life is more important than the trade. You then spend 5 minutes journaling your mental state. Were you anxious? Were you calm? Did you follow your plan? This journal is not about the money, it's about the process. You are building a data set of your own behavior. Our workflow turns trading from a chaotic, emotional roller coaster into a boring, systematic business operation. You are no longer hoping for a win, executing a plan. The efficiency of this method is staggering. Because you are only at the screen for 60 minutes, midday lull, where the market chops and kills retail accounts. You are only present when the volatility and volume are at their peak. You are essentially skimming the cream off the market and leaving the garbage for the 12-hour grinders to fight over. This is how you achieve the less is more result. You aren't working less because you are lazy, you are working less because you are efficient. You are protecting your mental capital so that you can show up tomorrow with the same level of precision. The 1-hour execution is a shield against the slow death of over-trading. It forces you to be a specialist rather than a generalist. You become a master of a specific time of day and a specific type of move. And in the world of high finance, the specialist always gets paid more than the generalist. Close the chart. Walk away. Reclaim your day. The market will be there tomorrow, and because you only traded for 1 hour, so will your account. The ego death, mastering the psychological art of walking away, the hardest part of the less is more. Strategy isn't the technical analysis, it is the brutal confrontation with your own ego. For years, you have been conditioned to believe that your value as a trader is tied to your activity. Walking away after 60 minutes, especially when you haven't taken a trade or when the market looks like it's about to move, feels like a physical weight on your chest. Ego death. Your ego wants to be right, it wants to be involved, and it desperately wants to feel productive. When you close that laptop, your ego screams that you are missing out, that you are being lazy, or that you are losing an opportunity. But you must realize that FOMO, the fear of missing out, not a logical observation, it is a biological malfunction. It is the primitive brain's response to a perceived loss of resources. To become an elite operator, you must kill the version of yourself that needs to catch every move. You must accept the paradox of the professional. The more trades you are willing to miss, the more money you are likely to make. Walking away is a high-level skill that requires you to detach your self-worth from the P&L. Grinder stays on the screen because their identity is wrapped up in being a trader. If they aren't looking at charts, who are they? The operator. However, trading as a tool to fund a life, not as the life itself, is where you must build your FOMO shield. You do this by realizing that the market is an infinite stream of data. It has been moving for 100 years before you were born, and it will move for 100 years after you are gone. There is no last train. There is always another bus, another session, another day. When you walk away after 60 minutes, you aren't losing a trade, you are winning your freedom. You are proving to your subconscious that you are in control of the machine, not the other way around. Most retail traders are essentially chart addicts, looking for a hit of excitement. They would rather take a losing trade than take no trade at all. A losing trade still provides that drama their ego craves. You must kill that craving. You must find your dopamine in your discipline, not in your entries. Ego death requires a shift in how you define work. Real work in trading is the internal struggle to remain still. The mental effort required to sit on your hands when the noise is loud. It is the courage to walk away when the market is almost giving you a setup but not quite. Ego hates almost. It wants to turn almost into definitely. By sticking to the 1 hour rule, you are starving the ego of the chaos it feeds on. You are forcing yourself into a state of boredom, and in that boredom, your true edge is found. You must learn to love the silence. You must learn to be okay with a day where you did nothing. Because in the world of high-stakes risk, doing nothing when there is no edge is the most profitable decision you can make. The identity shift. You are moving from the person who tries to make money to the person who protects their process. When the process is protected, the money becomes an inevitable byproduct. The ego wants the money now, the operator wants the process forever. To survive the ego death, post-session anchor. This is an activity you do immediately after closing your charts to signal to your brain that the work is done. Go for a run, read a book, or spend time with your family. You must intentionally build a life that is more interesting than the 1-minute chart. The chart is the most exciting thing in your life. You will never be able to walk away. You will always find an excuse to stay just 5 more minutes. That 5 minutes is how the market hooks you back into the panic loop. Walking away is your ultimate act of defiance against a system designed to keep you addicted and losing. The ultimate flex of power. You are telling the trillion-dollar institutions, I don't need your volatility. I have my own life. This is where true confidence is born, not from a winning streak, but from the knowledge that you have the power to say no. Kill your ego, or the market will kill your account. The choice is yours. Close the screen. Reclaim your soul, the 7-day mental shift, your final mission as an operator. You have reached the final stage of the blueprint. Diagnosis. You've seen the biological betrayal, and you've studied the surgical strike workflow. But knowledge without execution is just a hallucination. To move from a viewer to a viral success, you must now undergo the 7-day mental shift. This is not a suggestion. It is a mandatory quarantine from your old habits. For the next 7 days, you are going to put your ego in a cage and let your discipline lead. Week is not about how much money you make. It is about proving to yourself that you can actually follow a set of high-performance rules. Most people watching this will fail by day 3. They will see a big move on Twitter or a news spike on Discord, and they will crawl back to the 12-hour grind like an addict returning to a needle. If you want to be the 1% who actually makes it, you must be willing to do what the 99% are too weak to do. You are going to go on a digital fast. Here is your mission for the next 7 days, the 60-minute exile. Step 1, one specific hour of the day. It must be a time of high volatility. The London Open, the New York Open, or a specific session overlap is your golden hour. For the rest of the 23 hours, you are forbidden from looking at a live chart. No checking prices on your phone while you're at dinner, King. At the 4-hour candle before bed, no watching trading influencers live stream their entries. You are intentionally starving your brain of the flicker. You are resetting your dopamine receptors. When your golden hour arrives, you show up like a professional assassin. You have your pre-session levels ready. You set your timer for 60 minutes. You look for your specific AFOP setup. If it happens, you execute. If it doesn't, they're in the boredom, and you embrace it. When the timer hits 100, you close the laptop immediately, even if you are in the middle of a move. This sounds radical, but it is the only way to break the panic loop that has been draining your bank account for years. By day 3, you will feel an intense anxiety, the withdrawal phase. Your brain will tell you that you are missing out on millions. It will tell you that the 1-hour rule is stupid and that you need to grind to be successful. This is the moment of truth. If you can push through that anxiety, something miraculous happens on day 5 clarity. Suddenly, the charts look simpler. Because you are only looking for 1 hour, the noiser disappears. You stop caring about the 5-minute wicks and start seeing the true institutional flow. You realize that 90% of what you used to watch was just a trap. You begin to value your own time more than the market's opinion. By day 7, you will have completed the identity shift. You are no longer a struggling trader trying to survive. You are a light operator who controls the environment. You will find that you are more rested, more focused, and ironically, more profitable than you ever were during your 12-hour marathons. Successfully killed the grinder and birthed the professional. This is where your new life begins. 20-minute journey was designed to diagnose the poison in your system and provide the antidote. But the antidote only works if you swallow it. I want you to make a public commitment right now. If you are ready to stop being a slave to the flicker and start becoming a master of your time, COM in the comments below. By typing that word, you are signaling to yourself and to this community that you are taking the 7-day challenge. Read the comments of others. See that you are not alone in this struggle. We are building a new breed of traders who value freedom over business. Go out there, execute for 60 minutes, and then go live your life. The market isn't going anywhere, but your life is passing you by. It's time to take it back. 1 hour at a time is the end of the video, but the beginning of your career. Stay disciplined, stay detached, stay free.